from a political perspective, and that is the continued struggles of the Labour government and the impact that's having on UK and Scottish politics. So just to go through the sort of roll call of shame, we had the tax rises in the first budget that came into force in April, Angela Rayner's resignation, Lord Mandelson's firing, the omni-shambles of the second budget, and also Keir Starmer having the worst approval ratings of any Prime Minister since 1977. John, great year for Labour.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a bit of a disaster for them. You've given us some of the greatest hits there. There's, the winter fuel and the two-child cap and the resignations, the free glasses, all of that stuff. To be honest, I don't think even that really explains Labour's unpopularity, but they do seem to be very unpopular at the moment. Any Labour sources that you speak to will tell you that when they're out knocking doors, the people just don't like Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves. I tend to think probably the biggest explaining factor in this is probably the one you didn't mention, which is Gaza. I think it just in the same way that Tony Blair never really recovered from the reputational damage that the Gulf War did to him. I think Keir Starmer's suffering the same fate, that people just aren't okay with the perception of a complicity in a genocide. And this shouldn't be a surprise, but it's just it doesn't do well with voters, and I think that Keir Starmer's going to be irreparably damaged by it.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, I don't think Labour, it's inevitable that we're going to lose the next general election, but it's hard to see Keir Starmer coming back. So I think the problem might be the occupant at Downing Street rather than the Labour brand. If they got a new leader in after the May elections, things could turn around for them. But I mean, it's hard to turn around such a dismal poll rating when voters have pretty much made up their minds about a politician. Can you ever really get that back?
Yeah, I don't think you can. I mean, I think what they need is a leader that people can believe in and get behind, and they need some bold policy ideas. At the moment, what we seem to be looking forward to next year is war with Russia. I can't see that improving Labour's popularity. They need to come up with a programme for government that people can believe in and that excites people, and they need a leader that can deliver a positive message.
And, we need to start taking a much more a tougher approach. And I like to see that Labour are doing that. I'm also going to pick you up, John. I agree with much of what you said. I mean, I think for one thing, I don't think we can let it pass that you said there's a genocide being committed. That isn't the case. Some people believe there's a genocide being committed. That is proved by nobody. And I genuinely don't think that Labour's position on Gaza is alienating voters. It's maybe alienating, again, a certain far left subset of voters, but the average person isn't voting about Gaza. That's nonsense.
What I actually said was there is a perception.
You said there's a genocide.
You said in a genocide.
You didn't. I think we can wind that back. There isn't a genocide in Gaza. So let's just stop there.
See on the it is having an impact electorally on Labour in the sense you look at the last general election, although they won a landslide, you had all those independent candidates win. West Street nearly lost his seat as well. I mean, you can see it being a big issue at the next election as well.
Well, the Middle East.
Yeah,
seriously, well, I mean, the Middle East. When's that ever been a big issue at a Westminster election?
In terms of what I say about the independents, the pro-Gaza independents.
Tony Blair resigned. Tony Blair survived and resigned. His reputation is destroyed
by the Iraq War. People felt that they'd been complicit.
But he still won election after election.
Killing of hundreds of thousands of innocent people, and they didn't like it.
But he won election.
That's surprising.
He won election after election. He stood down and let Gordon Brown have a go.
I'm not saying it's going to be a dominant issue, but in particular seats, it's going to be a problem for Labour, as was seen in the 2024 election. I mean, West Street nearly lost a seat. You're going to have all these.
You've got 4 MPs who are single issue candidates. That's unprecedented.
In a tight election, with
4 MP, I think it's a fringe issue. I really do.